Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service, and we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service, and we must have to carry out the residents.
The Reporter is a news and current affairs program that goes beyond the headlines, bringing reporters from the field to give first-hand accounts and in-depth analysis of unfolding issues, correspondents' perspectives, ensuring balanced, credible, and comprehensive storytelling. Welcome again. I am Anieti Patrick. It's good to have you join us on The Reporter today. Let's start quickly with the Senate and see what's happening there. The Senate has urged the federal government to recruit about 100,000 personnel into the military to fight the rising killings and abductions of people in the country. This followed a motion of public importance sponsored by Senator Yahaya Abdullahi, APC, Kebbi North. National Assembly correspondent Topsy Gimba has the details for us.
Senator Yahaya Abdullahi expressed worry about the abduction of 25 students in the government girls' school in Maga, Kebbi State, killing the vice principal in the attack and injuring many. He called for adequate security to be provided in communities while urging the relevant security personnel to ensure the girls are rescued. Senator Yahaya Abdullahi urged his colleagues to support the motion.
Maybe by the time the Senate, in its wisdom, agrees with the second reading and it goes to the committee, I think it will be very, very important for us to consider putting the MOFI together with the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Supporting the motion, former Senate President Ahmed Lawan emphasized that immediate steps must be taken to ensure the safe return of the abducted children. He also proposed that the Senate should find out the funds set aside during the Buhari administration to manage the Safe School program.
Then what would Global Business Coalition for Education was also in Nigeria to work with our leaders to ensure that we created safe education and learning environments in our schools.
Contributing to the prayers of the motion, Senator Adam Shomole, APC, Edo North, urged the federal government to recruit at least 100,000 personnel into the military to assist to secure the entire country.
The capture in our prayer that we want additional 100,000 men and women to be recruited and trained and equipped and well kitted in the Nigerian Army to be able to cover the increasing number of population and the fact that we now have more schools that we used to have in 1960, in 1970, in 1980.
In response to the debate, Senate President Godswill Akpabio condemned the attack and urged the federal government and security agencies to prioritize the apprehension of the criminals and ensure the safe rescue of the students.
That we do set up an ad hoc committee to look into the Safe School program funding and expenditure and whether or not it has achieved its purpose in view of this current incident of the kidnap of our school children and the killing of this vice principal.
The Senate observed a minute silence in honor of the late vice principal, late Brigadier General Uba, soldier killed by terrorists for the weekend, and other victims of the attack, while calling for greater involvement for state governors in securing schools, stressing that the need for a collective effort to address the growing insecurity in the country. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
Live here in the studio is our correspondent Topsy Gimba to bring us up to speed with the recent developments, because we saw that the Senate rather deliberated on that matter, but this recent update to that. But let's welcome Topsy. Topsy, it's good to have you.
Thank you so much, Aniete.
Always a pleasure having you.
Yeah.
So let's quickly get, interestingly, there's a dramatic escape of these girls who were adopted, and now that is raising fresh concerns to security lapses. Do you think Nigeria's security agencies are doing enough to, in terms of protecting the vulnerable communities?
Well, of course, if you look at what the military has been doing over time when this particular issue of banditry, kidnapping, came on board in this country, we saw how interested they were. But we thought at the first time when it came up, they thought it was something that they can easily nip it on the bud.
Okay.
But gradually, these boys acquire sophistication of weapons and tactics on how to operate and use them to attack communities that are considered to be vulnerable. Now, the soldiers are gradually getting weakened in the sense that there is an increase in number and the increase of the sophistication in which they use in manipulating how to fight the war. And that's why whatever soldiers do or military tries to do, it will appear as if nothing is being done. It's not like a drop of water inside an ocean that you cannot notice whether it has added or not.
Okay.
So that's the situation we're really seeing. By and large, they're making a lot of effort to see how best community will be protected. But how many communities do you have in this country? How many are they recruited and they're armed that are said to be soldiers? And that's why most of them are advocating that there are supposed to be an increase in number. Adam Samuel categorically said, let there be 100,000 new recruits into the army so that they will now man the entire country. As we speak, we have 177,000 of them, which is, they are not many, as a matter of fact. Look at the size of the country and the number of people it's supposed to protect. And so that's the situation most of these communities that you cannot realize that the military are really making a lot of effort because the country is vast. And those who are fighting the country that are considered to be non-state actors, they are equally becoming sophisticated in their nature. Okay,
so let's see if we see that these bandits are having too much sophistication coming to play for them and having that more voice, let me put it that way. What should really change immediately following that these communities are vulnerable in most cases? Because like you mentioned and the senators mentioned, there should be an increase. Aside having an increased personnel of the security operatives, what else should the government do to change this trend of things?
Looking at the way things are really going out now, more essentially like Donald Trump spoke, there's a little bit of change, of course.
Okay.
The government is very assertive, ensuring that soldiers really do. In the time past, soldiers could even see bandits attacking the community, but if they have not been given order to attack, they will just be watching until the operation starts and ends in the way it should be. But at a point when they attacked the Yawata in Benue, they said the soldiers were there at the checkpoint, but there was no help from them. And the immediate past chief of defense staff, Christopher Musa, told them at one particular gathering that you need not to wait for an order for anybody. If you believe somebody in the crisis, just take advantage. So there's a little bit of this improvement in terms of really carrying out what they're supposed to do at the end of the day to secure this country. That's the way I see it.
Okay. Well, good enough that the Senate are deliberating this incident on the floor and talking about how this should go. Should lawmakers just focus more on accountability for security failures or new legislative measures to put in place to prevent repeated adoptions? And what approach should the government look at to believe that it will bring out very real results in terms of protection and safety of these communities?
Yeah, Anita, your question is very, very apt, because when they were talking about this adoption of these girls in Cape, many of them were contributing. I was just like, some of them were equally saying, what about the money that was set aside in those days concerning what do you call a safe school program or initiative? Are we to talk about this time? Because after all, if there was money set aside, what do we get as a result of that? And so for somebody to come to stand before his colleagues and say they should go and investigate, I say look at it that they have, they're chasing shadows, giving the substance. So I share what you have just said is actually what was in my mind when I was watching them yesterday debating on that. And so there must be a new narrative towards it. Because there are new things we are getting from these bandits or these people who are killing Nigerians. Some are saying they're even using drone to monitor the movement of the soldier. Or can you imagine a situation whereby they're attacking a community and they will come and put landmines where they believe soldiers will follow. And then when the soldiers enter the landmines, it blows, kills, and destroys everything. And then they will be operating in that community. And so they have equally changed patterns. And so it's about time for us to stop, talking about the money set aside maybe in 2000 or whatever.
And look at the rights.
What the situation is serious is ugly in the country.
Exactly.
And so there's a lot of things need to be done. So they need to really think how best it could be addressed. If it means allocating more money for them to acquire more weapons from those countries that they have the weapons, it's better for that to be done. Or either recruiting more young boys who are able to do the work. But when they are going for the recruitment exercise, they are being left behind and they're taking the weak ones at the end of the day because they believe they know somebody.
But that shouldn't be the case in this scenario because security is paramount.
That's the result we're getting.
All right, Gimba, thank you so much for being a part of the program. We look forward to more positive results in terms of tackling the issue of insecurity in the nation.
I pray so.
And we hope the girls return more safe and sound
I just really
to their families because I can imagine the trauma.
As said, 2 of them have rationally escaped. Yes. That's a very good news. But to escape while others are still there, even one is left, just like Leah Shirabu. If all of the Chibok girl or whatever were able to come back home, but one
that
is
would have
left,
been good if we had the full house return safe and sound.
And the parents are really passing through trauma. Exactly. Many of them died, particularly from those from Chibok, who have never seen their daughters till now. Most of them are no longer alive. You can imagine what might happen if it goes like this one that happened in Chibok.
We hope it doesn't get to that point.
Exactly. Okay. So there's a lot of things need to be done.
All right. Thank you so much, Gimba. Always a pleasure having you on The Reporter. Let's quickly turn our focus to see some politics stories. The Nigerian Police Force has shut down the National Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, at Wadata Plaza following the heavy tension recorded on Tuesday. Police shut down the PDP National Secretariat on Wednesday after faction groups took over the premises for a battle forcing intervention due to the security risks. Heavy deployment of police officers from the Directorate of State Services, DSS, and other security personnel have been positioned around the Zone 5 Secretariat. Supporters of both factions were seen drumming and singing close to the venue. Well, we'll get our correspondent to join us to talk about that story. Let's quickly give you a bit of other stories happening. Then we'll get our correspondent to join us, talk to us on what that is happening. Let's tell you that on the foreign scene, the United States and Saudi Arabia may be moving closer to a breakdown on normalizing relations with Israel after President Donald Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman hinted progress during talks in Riyadh. Mutar Kasim has the details.
Said Saudi Arabia wants stronger ties across the Middle East and is open to joining the Abraham Accords, but only if a clear path to a two-state solution is secured. He described his discussion with Trump as healthy, emphasizing that Riyadh still expects movement towards a Palestinian state before finalizing any agreement. Trump also said the two leaders held good talks about potential frameworks, including both one-state and two-state solutions.
Today and tomorrow we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas. And the agreement that we are signing today in many areas in technology, in AI, in earth materials, magnet, etc., that will create a lot of investment opportunities.
Trump later defended the Crown Prince when asked about the 2018 murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, insisting that the Saudi leader knew nothing about it and argued that Washington must maintain strong ties with Riyadh despite lingering controversy.
As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
With both leaders signaling willingness to continue negotiations, attention now shifts to whether the condition for a two-state solution and regional political realities can sustain the momentum towards a historic Saudi-Israel agreement. Mukhtar Kasim, reporting for Global Television News.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service that we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service that we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Water is life, water is an essential service that we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service that we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
And we have Ubong right now. We have a technical, sorry for that interruption there. Yes, Ubong right now. Ubong, how are you doing? It's good to have you join us on The Reporter.
Thank you, Anyeti. Always a pleasure to join you.
All right, great. There's a whole lot happening around the PDP and the drama that played out, and now we have the secretariat sealed off. What does the heated confrontation between the two PDP factions reveal about the party's internal stability ahead of future political battles?
Right. It is quite very disgraceful that we have a major opposition party in Nigeria who can put their house in order. In fact, this is a party that was in power for 16 years, and if there's anything they could offer Nigerians, it would be to offer Nigerians hope, it would be to offer Nigerians opportunity. But the show of shame that they've put up at Wadasa Plaza is very unbecoming. You could see governors, you could see the minister of the FCT, a lot of responsible people by the positions they hold, but they've not been able to do that. It's quite very sad. And today we saw the police going to barricade the place. And we know before police barricades a place, it is either one of these three things. One, they have a court order. Two, if they have any information that opening up that place can lead to loss of lives and properties, they can actually go ahead to do it. And yesterday you saw the pushing, the shoving, and all of the very disgraceful videos that we have. Yeah.
Okay, so
the police has taken up upon itself. Yeah.
So with all of this that's been up, do you think, Obong, do you think this public clash will weaken the PDP's national positioning, or could it force a long overdue reconciliation within the party?
Right, it depends on how they handle it. Because I remember when we did conflict and peace resolution class, they told us that peace is not the absence of or problem. Peace is just people understanding how to actually go through their difficulties. So it is two ways, like you've mentioned. We could further disintegrate the party. Remember that this party is already very disintegrated. A lot of members have left. The likes of Atiku Abubakar has left. A lot of members have left the PDP. Governors are leaving. 4 governors have left in 6 months. That's grossly, will affect the fortunes of the party. So that's on one end. On the other end, it could be a platform for serious reconciliation. That's why you heard people like Fintiri, who was the chairman of the National Convention Organizing Committee, said the expulsion of those members was not the right step in the right direction. They could have been more reaching out to see how to solve the problem, because what we have now is a serious problem. Even for people who are going to get candidacy on the platform of PDP, how sure are they that the court will not, throw them out, like the case of Rivers State and Zamfara that we saw? So it's very sad for that political party.
Okay, so we hope that this gets resolved so the party can get ready for 2027 if they really set to be the major opposition party. Like you said, they've been there for 16 years, and after 16 years, it's a whole different story from what we've seen from internal crisis, anti-party politics, and all of that, which led to the expulsion of these members.
Yeah, absolutely. PDP has been a bad way to learn how to be an opposition party. And I say that knowing that I have many friends in that political party, but yes, we have to say the truth. They've not shown an example of how to be an opposition party in Nigeria. It's been disgraceful, seriously.
Well, we hope that going forward, they can fix their house in order and get the narrative straight. Thank you so much, Obong, for being a part of the reporter. We look forward to more conversation and seeing other developments coming from the side of the PDP.
Thank you so much, Anita, for having me on your program.
All right, so that's it, Ubong, and there you have it. Earlier, I had brought you the story from Saudi, where they are meeting to have a deliberation, and joining us to talk about this after this timeout is our correspondent, our foreign desk correspondent, Mukhtar Kasim, who joined me shortly to bring us up to speed on how the United States and Saudi Arabia may be moving closer to breakthrough on normalizing relations with Israel after President Donald Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman hinted at progress during talks in Riyadh. We'll take Mukhtar after this time. Stay with us.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service, and we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Joining us right now is our foreign desk correspondent Mukhtar Kasim to give us more on this report. Mukhtar, it's good to have you join us. How are you doing?
Very much for having me.
All right, great one. With Saudi Arabia hinting at joining the Abraham Accords, only if a clear path to a Palestinian state is secured. Do you think a two-state solution is still realistic in today's Middle East politics?
Thank you very much for that question, Anita. A two-state solution has been the international recommendation for a long time, even before now. But in practice, it is looking not very realistic, especially looking at the situation in the Middle East with Israel's occupation and its foreign policy, and also the violence in Gaza. That has raised questions as to how possible it is a two-state solution will become reality. But then with Saudi Arabia's push, analysts have said it is a possibility, maybe with the influence that Saudi has in that particular region, that it could broker a sort of peace, even if it's not that two-state solution. We could see both fighting factions shift ground and eventually get a solution, even if it's not that two-state solution that has been recommended.
Okay, so considering the ongoing controversy surrounding Saudi leadership, including the Khashoggi case, should the U.S. prioritize strategic alliances over human rights in its relationship with Riyadh?
Well, that's a very wonderful question. The United States, over time, we've seen has always tried to balance its advocate for human rights and also its interest. But most times what supersedes it's the American interest. It always comes first, regardless of whatever other interest. So we've seen America come out to condemn nations who they say violate human rights and laws. But then again, they still go back and still negotiate with those countries if it serves their interests. So what people have said is, even with the fact that Saudi has said, America has said Saudi is a country that has infringed on human rights. But the key point is, as long as they have a particular benefit, which is the oil deals and other deals they've signed with Saudi Arabia, people have said they would always maintain ties with those countries in spite of whatever concerns might be there.
All right, thank you so much, Mukhtar, for bringing us up to speed on that. We look forward to that ties being put together and more peace restored around that area and more networking or bilateral ties being talked about. Thank you so much, Mukhtar.
Thank you so much for having me on the program.
All right, so it's been an amazing ride here on The Reporter. I hope you had a good one with us. This is where we have to draw the curtains on the program. We say thank you for staying with us on The Reporter. A quick reminder that Global Television is on channel 365 on DSTV and 276 on StarTimes. To stay connected, kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. Until the next time when I come your way, I am Anita Patrick. Have a lovely day ahead of you.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.